Guys, can you still hear me in the chat? As I believe we're off air now on KEIB, the Patriot AM 1150. If you want to keep this going a little bit, just want to talk with y'all because there were a lot of questions. There were a lot of comments. Kawhi Leonard spoke with the media a little bit. I just had to go because on the radio side, that was it. But it doesn't mean we have to end here on the Clippers talk side, which intrigues me. It means things can get a little bit more interesting with some of these questions, with some of the stuff people want to talk about. For instance, Jonathan Ing said this regarding Kai Jones. Hold on, I got to talk to my producer, Sam Zia, who I forgot to thank earlier. Kai Jones, to me, is fascinating. Partly because of, and mostly because of the athleticism. It's pretty simple. It makes it easy to see why he was drafted in the first round. It also, tonight's performance made it easy to me to see why his NBA career hasn't exactly taken off yet. I know part of it was a mental health issue, and he got help with that, and I believe is still working through that. That's great to see. But, guys, he's not ready yet. He's not ready to start over Ivica Zubac like some people said, or even get backup center minutes yet and really feel comfortable with that. He's not. I'm sorry. Y'all need to pump the brakes. Y'all need to slow down. Kai Jones, Hive, this was a wake-up call to you, I believe. It should have been. It should have been very clear why Kai Jones is not thought of as the current backup center for the Clippers, let alone taking Ivica Zubac's job, like some people said, because they have no idea what it means to play in the NBA. They think just being an athlete is enough. I'm sorry, but you got to stop. You got to stop with this Kai Jones talk and let him develop. I don't know the severity. I don't think it's a big deal. I think Mo Bamba, he's more of a known commodity at this point than Kai Jones, and I'm not that worried about whatever the injury is with his knee. It just doesn't sound serious at all. But Kai Jones, guys, it was a shame he couldn't play in the summer league because he needed those reps. And I am rooting for the young man, and he is still young and can still make his mark in this league. Now, he faced up, took his man off the dribble, got to the basket, got an and one, and that was like the next possession down. That was impressive to me. That was something. Maybe he can build off that because he was taken out of the game right afterwards because he just played, I think, 15 straight minutes all the third quarter into the start of the fourth. But let's slow down, take a deep breath. Just because he can jump off 2 feet, put the ball between his legs, and throw it down on an Instagram post by the Clippers doesn't mean he should be starting or even be getting backup minutes right now, Kai Jones. Over for Kobe Brown, who I thought had a really good game. I don't know if all his minutes were in the second half. No, it couldn't have been because he played 27. But most of them were. 5 of 10, 11 points. When their offense died and was DOA on arrival in that third quarter, and the Clippers only had 3 points in the first 5 minutes of the third, it was Kobe Brown generating offense. Through some of the cleanup work he did, he had a nice putback off a miss. He had a couple of offensive rebounds when the Clippers got out-rebounded by 10 on offensive rebounds. But driving left, driving right, it was a little safety valve or escape valve for the offense that wasn't doing much. Kobe Brown can be somebody that generates offense on his own at times against second units, maybe. Maybe. Nate G said, I'll say Zubac is the greatest Clipper ever if he added a mid-range to his game. LOL, he played great. He doesn't need to add a damn mid-range. So what? He can shoot 40% from there, which is deemed good, but it's still just 2 points? Why? It doesn't make sense. so he can play next to a forward that can't shoot? Jay says the Clippers need another center and power forward. All right, let's talk about the power forward position. Let's talk about that because Kawhi spoke about that. And while the game was going, or it was at halftime, he spoke with the media, said he's been watching the new guys in camp. Kawhi Leonard said this, such as Chris Dunn and Derrick Jones Jr., as well as observing everyone's progression. Said nobody has stood out to me so far. When asked about his position in playing power forward, Kawhi said, quote, "Who was the power forward last year? It's going to be the same thing pretty much. We got to control what we can control. I probably ran the top 5 most miles per game last year, or top 10, all coming off a torn meniscus, so we got to see if that's beneficial for me or not, playing power forward still." That's interesting to me because we've always speculated and wondered, what does it mean playing power forward versus the 3 spot, small forward? What involves more running? My interpretation was he's probably playing more on the perimeter and having to guard smalls more at the 3, which would mean he's running more. Kawhi, though, is saying, quote, "I probably ran the top 5 most miles per game last year, or top 10, all coming off a torn meniscus. So we got to see if that's beneficial for me or not." So it sounds like he's not convinced yet that playing the 4 is the most beneficial to him. Fair. I think it's a really interesting subject. Do the Clippers need a 4 so Kawhi doesn't run as much? Because the Clippers know exactly how many more miles he had to run when he played power forward versus small forward. They can compare that stuff. Take 68 games of him at small forward and how much running he had to do versus power forward last year via the Sport VU cameras tracking everything. They know. So it's not lost on them. I just want to see Kawhi stay healthy, and whatever does that, oh, come on, Mark. Kawhi is kind of a diva. Because what? He brought that up. He was asked about it. He was probed with a question. It wasn't out of nowhere. That's my understanding. Okay. I just want Kawhi to stay healthy, and running less, probably a good start. But now then they'd have to find another 4. He also acknowledged, quote, "Who was the power forward last year? It's going to be the same thing pretty much." So maybe he's already talked with the front office about it, and he is at an understanding with them, or not overly concerned about it. Kawhi also said, quote, "As I get older, guys aren't doing what I'm doing pretty much. You don't see it around the league. Even when I was young, this is what I work for. I strive to get a championship. I'm not out there trying to play 82 games. I'm trying to win. Even though that's obligated for me, I try to, but it hasn't worked out." He's about the playoffs. He's about trying to win championships. It makes sense. The problem right now is, do the Clippers have a team good enough that if he misses a large chunk of games, 20 to 30 games in the regular season, can they still make the playoffs? Can they still be a top 6 seed? Or are they going to have to fight out of the play-in or be flirting with not even making the play-in if Kawhi doesn't play enough? That's the question. Louise says, "Why are the Clippers always trying to give Kawhi special treatment? He hasn't won anything for us." In what way are they trying to give him special treatment? He's hurt. He can't play and shouldn't be playing. If you haven't noticed now, or by now, he's injury prone. So maybe, I don't know, have a little bit of understanding to a guy who tore his ACL for the Clippers, then meniscus, then last year the swelling. This isn't, he just doesn't want to play, guys. Can we stop that? How is any of that special treatment? Should have kept Shea low key. Thanks, Mark. I'm sure you said that when they originally made the trade too. No, you didn't. No, nobody did. It's bunk. Every GM in the history of basketball would have made that move. Nobody said Shea was going to be at an MVP level, especially this soon. The realist said, we got to add another scorer like Ingram. So is he going to be a rental? Because he's due to get paid after this season. Do you want to pay Ingram? It's going to be a lot of money, at least $150 million. Why do you think nobody's traded for him yet? Because they know you have to pay him after this season. And while he's still young, 27, he's kind of unproven in a lot of ways of who he can be on a winning team. Otherwise, I think the Pelicans would have moved him. If teams were calling, if they were offering something, they would have moved him. So Kawhi talked with the media earlier. And the biggest thing to come out of that to me is whether or not the Clippers are going to go out and make a move for a power forward. If that truly would put less strain and less of a toll on Kawhi. We just don't know. Kawhi seems to think or is resigned to the fact that it's going to be more the same with him playing power forward this year. I'm not sure at this point. Is he playing 60 games this year, 50 games? We don't know. Is he playing opening night? Didn't look like we got any clarity on that. But we can talk more about this game. LQ Ball says, who are the best 5 Clippers, the most surprising and the most disappointing? In this game, the best 5 against Golden State? That's pretty easy. Zubac, James Harden, Norman Powell, Kobe Brown, and Amir Coffey. There was your best 5. Amir Coffey came in and looked like the adult in the room. He just got 7 points quickly in 10 minutes. And while their transition defense, especially in the first half, was miserable, Amir came in, stopped the ball. Amir looked like this was light work for him. I love seeing that because he's been the most overlooked guy all season for the Clippers. Nobody's talked about how does Amir fit in with this team. Need a power forward that can shoot and rebound. Who, Mark Jag? Do you got any ideas or you're just throwing stuff out there? Tell me all these power forwards that are just growing on trees that can help out the Clippers. These shooting power forwards that can also rebound. Who are these guys? You going to bring up John Collins? Lee Vibin says the Brewmaster needs to get a real chance this year. I mean, he got a real chance last year. What are you talking about? He was starting playoff games. Some of it was out of necessity, but by January, he was getting his opportunity. He played a lot. He wasn't very good in the playoffs, unfortunately. Shots weren't falling. Jonathan Ing says, can you assess Jordan Miller's performance? Pretty. He was a contributor, Jordan Miller. 18 minutes, 1 of 3, 6 points. Lone shot he got was a little runner, push shot in the lane. Looked similar to what we saw in the Summer League. But the couple deflections to the end on an inbounds pass by the Golden State Warriors before hitting the game winner, thanks to Waters in that 3, that was good to see. I like that. I think Jordan Miller is going to play more on Tuesday. That game will be in San Diego. That game will be against the Brooklyn Nets. Jay says $50 million on Dunn and DJJ looking not great after tonight. All right, come back when it does. Did you see how much Golden State was struggling to score at times when those guys were on the floor? Dunn had a steal early on. DJJ, he only took 3 shots, missed all 3. They were all 3-pointers. Dunn airballed a 3 for his only take. I understand points are a concern, but relax. It's preseason game number 1, and these guys actually have a large body of work in their career out, which is the difference between them and Kai Jones. They do. They have produced. We just saw DJJ in a long playoff run. Chill. Levi Ivan said our offense looked very stagnant without Harden out there. It's going to a lot of the time without a system in Harden out there. That's nothing new. I got news for you. This is Harden's team right now. Kawhi's availability isn't there. And this team is going to go as far as Harden can stay healthy and lead them. Louis Lemus has some doomer porn. Let's enjoy the season. It is what it is. We all know this team isn't going to be good enough. We know damn well Kawhi won't be available if they make the playoffs. Look, I understand the frustration the last 4 seasons, but who knows what this season could bring. Jonathan Ing says, it may be rust, but I thought KPJ was out of control at times and made some of his shots more difficult than necessary. Yes, but I saw the skill level. I saw a similar guy that averaged 19 points per game at the NBA level. I know he was 1 for 5. That one he made, though, tough shot. And he missed some gimmies. I hope he plays 25 minutes Tuesday night. I want to see more from KPJ. Jordan says it's preseason. You casuals need to chill out. It's just for people to get a feel of things, test some stuff, let more rotation players get run, etc. I mean, should I bring up who said this about, was it Jay who went after, Chris Dunn? So, Jay, if I go back to last year's preseason game 1, Jazz Clippers, where Chris Dunn had 17 points in that game 1, did he earn his contract then? Because he had 17 points in preseason game 1 last year, as opposed to what you saw tonight? Like, prisoner of the moment stuff. Timothy says, they don't run enough. Harden needs to be quicker on fast break with his passing. They're trying to be a little bit faster with their tempo. But this isn't that type of team. They have more athletes now. They're going to run more than last season. You can bank on that. They're going to have a faster pace than last season. I guarantee that. They want longer outlet passes, more of those. More cherry-picking plays, easier offense. I like this from IQ Ball saying the Harden and Zoo connection can be special. Guys, they look great tonight. Harden and Big Zoo looked fantastic. What's more important than that? They have an offseason and a training camp now to figure it out. Nate G says Dunn has to clean up those turnovers. First game, I know. He does, fine. A lot of guys do tonight. But he had 4 of them. Again, last year Dunn has 17 points in game 1 of the preseason against the Clippers with Utah. That didn't mean that he was a star player all of a sudden, nor does tonight's game mean that he is a sieve and should be in the G League because he didn't play well. Neither of those things are true. Extra Ernie TV says exactly only 1 game, it takes time. Jonathan Ing says Kai Jones was not good at setting screens tonight. That is an understatement, guys. That's what worries me. It's like these are some of the easier things that you have to do. Or maybe it's not so easy, but stuff that's just necessary in the NBA. His high pick and roll stuff those were basically ghost screens. It weren't physical at all. It was brutal. You can't set screens like that. You got to get up there and put a body on someone. You can be an athletic freak athlete all you want, but if you don't do the fundamentals, it doesn't matter. Jonathan Ing says there was one instance where Bones had to take a three with the shot clock going down because Bones got no separation off a Kai screen over two defenders. It's true. Jay said, except the Clippers did have Dunn at one point in the G League, then released him. That was years ago. He's more than proven to be an NBA player. Jay, some people, just irrational. If Dunn has 10 points next game, Jay will be like, who cares? It's the preseason. While he criticized him for a preseason game in game one. Mark Jag says, Kawhi couldn't score on Dunn in that preseason game last year. I remember the game. Kawhi was in ramp-up mode. He was like that throughout some of the first month of the regular season, too, before he hit the ground and really locked in. Got running. Himothy said, it's not a complaint. It is setting identity from day one in preseason camp. Yeah, you got to set harder screens than that. Most of the guys out there at least played good defense. Dunn did tonight too, as Jonathan Ing's pointing out. That's what he's there for most of all. When they got beat, it was, yes, backdoor passes and transition stuff, which a lot of that was self-inflicted by the Clippers with 14 turnovers in the first half. IQ Ball said, I think the Zoo box score is going to blow everyone's mind if he gets to play 30 minutes. Yeah, probably. You give him the minutes, he'll give you the production. He'll fill up the box score. That's what I'm looking to see. Ivica Zubac at 30-plus minutes. Extra Ernie TV says, just let him get his feet wet. I am encouraged overall because Ivica Zubac, James Harden, and Norman Powell look good. And what's more important than your main guys? Let's keep the main thing, looking good. Norm had that three-pointer start. It had a floater in the second, a bucket in traffic going down the right alley, had the block on Pods out of bounds. That, to me, might have been the best play from Norman Powell. The defense, the lockdown defense, he played on Pods to get that block. The reverse layup with the scoop with the left hand, that was nasty. Norm is likely to start if Kawhi's out. I'm telling you. I know people are saying, but his defense, what does that mean? Well, Coach Lou's going to try to hide him. I know. He's already trying to hide James Harden on guys. But depending on the matchup, I think there's a real good chance Norman Powell's going to start because they just don't have enough offense without him if Kawhi's not playing. I've been saying it. He started tonight. People didn't want to believe me. Okay. Just telling you. Pay attention. Norman Powell's been waiting for this opportunity. He looked good tonight. He took advantage of it. If his playmaking and defense just take a considerable step forward, it doesn't have to be a giant leap for mankind, but it has to be something. It has to be, part of it's just getting back to what he used to do more. He used to play defense a lot more in Toronto. I don't know what happened with Portland, but ever since then, learned some bad habits playing next to Dame and CJ McCollum. Big Zoo, he missed his first over Draymond, then had the right-handed hook shot. It's money, guys. And oh yeah, that comparison to Crow Cop, the former UFC fighter, Pride fighter, he'd say right leg hospital, left leg cemetery. With Zoo, it's left arm, left hand, hospital, right-handed hook, cemetery. It's just money. He'll beat you with the right hook all day. Then he had a layup off a long outlet pass. That was them trying to get into their offense faster, trying to get some fast break points, some easy ones. Got it over some smalls that were out there at the 6-minute mark of the first. Had a really nice pass out of the short roll to Terrence Mann, who missed the only three he took, and then turned down one a little bit later. You heard from Chuck Mockler regarding that. But Zoo looked good in the short roll there. Harden threw a lob to Ivica Zubac in the second quarter. off a pass from Zoo, then rolled to the basket and had Steph Curry on him. And then he showed off the left hand with an easy one. All in all, Big Zoo doing work. 14-6. Light work. 18 minutes, 14 points, 6 boards. Did have 3 turnovers. Everybody was sloppy with the basketball. I think some of that is just timing and rhythm and figuring it out when you haven't really played for some time. MKXLNT says keep holding opponents to under 100 and good things will happen. Yeah. It's also preseason in that area, but overall they had a chance to win this ball game with their defense and they couldn't get the stop late. A little bit disappointing, but Waters hit a long 3. Timothy said Harden, Norm, DJJ, Batum, Zoo. Is that the starting lineup? Maybe. Maybe it's Harden, Norm, Man, DJJ, Zoo, or Harden, Norm, Dunn, DJJ, Zoo. Depends. Tonight, the starting lineup for the Clippers. Derrick Jones Jr., Ivica Zubac, James Harden, Norman Powell, and Chris Dunn. I don't want to read too much into it. Coach Lou said not to, but he wanted to get a look at it. Mark Jag says Harden MVP season incoming. I don't know about that, guys. I don't know about that. He's 35 now. He looks good. Weight-wise, he does. That's impressive. I believe him when he says this is the best shape I've been in last 5, 6, 7 years. That's somewhat meaningful. I don't know about 7 years, but he's just younger then. It's hard to compare. Nate G says, I also want to see Zoo beat his matchup more this season. We say better than guys like Valanciunas and Vucevic, but they have good games versus Clippers. Zoo has had good games versus both of them. And some of it is, you know, who are they scoring on? Are they scoring on Zoo, or are they getting off against backup bigs? Look at the matchup data. Jay says Harden, Powell, Coffee, Brown, Zubac should be the starters till Batum is back. Jay's just not that smart. At all. I get it. It's you want a traditional 4 in there, I guess, is why you're saying Kobe Brown should be starting. But I don't know about that one, bro. Nate G says, I agree with Coffee and Brown getting starting minutes, but Ty Lue would never do that. Yeah, I don't know if that's the way to go, guys. Kobe Brown starting might be a little too soon for that. We'll see. Jeremy Mormon said, I like Dunn off the bench with KPJ. I like that too. Because both of them are kind of combo guards. They can both bring it up. Chris Dunn can play off ball more. He's been doing that the last couple of years. And I think KPJ can run things with the ball in his hands and also be a really good catch-and-shoot 3 guy. Guys, I unearthed his stats. His last 2 years on catch-and-shoot 3s, Kevin Porter Jr. in the 21-22 season was at 48% on catch-and-shoot 3s. That is elite. The 22-23 season with Houston was at 44%. That's still really good. It shocked me seeing that. And I kind of think at some point this season, he could end up the starting 2. I really believe that. We'll see. Maybe it's too much of a hot take. Maybe I'm trying too hard to look like the smartest guy in the room, but I think Kevin Porter Jr. has a skill set that Coach Lue is looking for. Because I want to put it like this. I said this on Clips and Dip the other day. The Clippers are in this predicament right now where they can only lean into one side or the other. If they go for more offense, it leaves them open to having a deficiency on defense with their starters. Meaning, if they go with Norman Powell next to Terrence Mann, next to James Harden in the starting backcourt, if it's Harden, if it's Norm, if it's then Chris Dunn or Terrence Mann next to DJJ and Ivica Zubac, well, your point of attack defense could be weak. As much as you could try to hide Norman Powell against some 3s that aren't scores, Your defense suffers in that scenario. But if you don't start Norman Powell, and let's say you make it James Harden, Terrence Mann, Derek Jones Jr., Nico Batum, and Ivica Zubac, you're great defensively. But offensively, who are the creators? Who are the guys that are going to get you going if James Harden is asked to do everything at the age of 35 to start off ball games? And it's just him and Big Zoo running high pick and roll. Hope it works. I think it can. But to not have another bucket getter like Norman Powell out there, it could be a real struggle and a slog offensively. Who's the guy that can do a little bit of both? It's KPJ. He could bring a little bit of offense, playmaking, ISO scoring, and a little bit of defense with his length. He had to play defensively in this game. I thought in transition, he got back, crashed a passing lane, got a steal. He has potential on the defensive end. Mark Jag says KPJ has a lot of talent, that's for sure. He does. And I think Coach Lue sees him as a project, sees him as a guy that could be able to bridge that starting unit with more balance to offense and defense instead of just leaning one way or the other, depending on going with Norman Powell or going with Terrence Mann or Chris Dunn in the starting lineup in the backcourt next to James Harden. I think there's a real decision to make there. I do. I'm not saying he's going to start opening night if Kawhi is not available. But I'm saying if Kawhi is not available on back-to-backs and a handful of other games, and he's missing 20 to 25 games on the season, offensively, as much as we want them to have that defensive identity, you guys still got to score out there. And I don't know if they have the perfect remedy. Of course they don't, to make up for Kawhi, but just to have a little bit more pop offensively. Hard H says, don't be surprised if we trade for Miles Bridges. He fits the 4 role perfect. People have been talking about this. Let me know if it happens. I'll remember that, Art. I'll remember you said that. I don't know if Charlotte's dealing right now or what that could mean and how much they'd have to give up. Mark Jag said KPJ could be the future of the team when Harden and the Kawhi era ends since we don't have any picks. He could be. Kevin Porter Jr. is 24. He's on a 2-year deal. I don't think it's over. I don't think this isn't a Kai Jones situation where you're a training camp invite trying to make the team. Now, there's still an investigation going on with the NBA. He could be out the first 10 games of the season. They could come down in the next couple of days, and then he can't play in the preseason either. That would set him back. And he needs these reps. He does. We saw it. There was rust. I saw glimpses of who he's been as a player and who he can be, but I also saw a guy who just looked like he hadn't played NBA basketball for a while. Everybody's trying to tell me he's been playing in Greece, Adam. Yeah, he played 6 games overseas. Whoop did he do? That's not enough to stay fresh, to stay ready. Come on. That's not NBA basketball anyways. Stop it. Jay's bringing up an interesting point. We just have to finish ahead of the Rockets to keep a pick. It's not just that. They need the Rockets to be bad, to be worse than the Clippers, but not so bad that they're one of the worst teams in the NBA because their pick is top 10 pick protected. Tongue twister. Peter picked pepper. It's top 10 pick protected. It's like this. OKC has pick swaps with the Clippers and with Houston. Well, they're going to take the worst of those. So you want the Houston Rockets to finish below your Clippers, but not too far below where then that pick is protected because it's in the top 10. No, not battle to the bottom. Jay, are you listening? Are you listening, brother? If it's a top 10 pick, it's protected, and they won't be able to take Houston's pick. They will just take the Clippers' first-round pick next year, OKC. Can't be in the top 10. Just needs to be behind the Clippers. Trying to explain this. Jeremy Mormon says, best case, we get the 11th pick. I think the 12th would be it, and Houston has the 11th. Anyways, I'm not going to keep trying to go over this and make you guys understand it. I tried the best I could. Houston needs to be worse than the Clippers. They also can't be too bad, and I don't think they will be. Houston's going to be improved. Ime Udoka is a really good head coach. They're going to be competing in the standings with the Clippers all season long, and they play each other 4 times, and that's a little subplot to this year. It's going to be interesting. We'll see how it shakes out. But I thought overall, the Clippers you wanted to see play well. You wanted to see look like they were in somewhat of a rhythm, even though there were a lot of turnovers out there. We got that. We got that with Zoo. We got to see the connection with him and James Harden. We got to see Norman Powell be a bucket like he is. Amir Coffey, nobody's talked about him this summer. I'm guilty of that as well. Came in, looked exactly like he picked up where he left off of during the regular season for the Clippers last year when he played a much bigger role once the calendar turned over. He looked good. And then there's a lot of unknowns out there. A lot of them. Kobe Brown looked pretty good. Hopefully he can build off of this. For a guy like him, it's important to follow this up with a good performance Tuesday night in their next preseason game. I believe that is a radio exclusive, by the way. Mongo Project said it's simple then. We just need to win the chip. Yeah. Well, you put it like that. That Mexican Nara said, thoughts on Bojan trade? Are you talking about Bojan Bogdanovic? PJ Bones in a second. If you're talking about Bojan Bogdanovic, they're not doing that, dude. Some of you guys think that teams are just lining up to trade with the Clippers and just hand people over. I don't know if you knew this, but there's 29 other teams, and they're not trying to get taken for a ride. No one's doing that for PJ Tucker, Bones, and a second-round pick. Sorry to break it to you. I'm trying to be realistic here. That Mexican Nara said that would free a roster spot for McGee or Howard to play until Bamba is back and mentor Zoo. I expect Bamba to be back soon. I have no idea. I'm just going off of seeing him going through walkthroughs in practice. How bad can the knee be? Maybe he plays Tuesday. Clippers have 5 preseason games, so there's 4 more games here to see Mo Bamba a little bit. I'm not overly concerned about it yet. I think they need him after what we just saw from Kai. But, hey, give Kai an opportunity Tuesday night. Give him 20 more minutes. See what he can do. He's trying to make the team. I think it's eye-opening for some people that just look at athleticism and mixtapes and him dunk on Wemby and go, oh, okay, he's an NBA player. Yeah. Didn't look like that tonight. Jay said, who we giving up to bring Barkley and Bird out of retirement? Yeah, I mean, guys, some of these moves you want to make are so unrealistic, you might as well be talking about Barkley and Bird and getting MJ at 60. Like, come on. I'm always trying to bring a more realistic view to this show. Things that are feasible, plausible, likely. Things that are solutions. I'm trying to be solution-based. Now, I could be wrong on some things, but I'm just giving you my opinion. I don't think they're getting Bogdanovic for PJ Tucker, a second, and Bones Highland. I think that trade's getting shot down pretty quick. This ain't your fantasy team where there's that one guy that doesn't pay attention and doesn't know ball that you can trade with and swindle him all the time. The NBA front offices are pretty aware of what's going on. They're not that foolish. They're just not. I know they're going to see the Nets on Tuesday, and Bojan Bogdanovic will be there in that game. Probably doesn't play because he's 35 and he's getting up there, and they know what they have with him. I understand. Like, you're thinking the Nets are in a teardown. They're in the running for Cooper Flag, but they can ask for more than that. They know he's a commodity that if they wait till the trade deadline, they can drive up the price. You got to think of it from other teams' perspective sometimes. Jeremy Mormon says, this is a brand new team that might look a lot better with some reps. Agree. Get guys reps. Get Kai more reps. As hard as I was about his performance tonight, it's really not about Kai. I'm rooting for him. It's about people who don't understand NBA basketball and the difference between that and you looking at clips of just highlights, just a play here and there, whether it be in the NBA with Kai or with him in a run at your local YMCA. People have gotten way too excited about that stuff. Let him develop. Let him progress. He's still very young, but he has a lot to learn at this level, even in a preseason game, let alone play in the big leagues. He's not ready yet. He's not. Mo Bamba, get healthy, please. I think Mo Bamba is an improvement over Mason Plumlee and Daniel Tice. I don't think it's significant. I don't think it's a huge improvement, but an improvement nonetheless over their backup center spot last year. The major improvement is just play Ivica Zubac more than 26 minutes per game, like he played last year. Play him 30. Pair him with James Harden's minutes. Those two are going to work well. Mark Jag says, these guys think this is 2K, LOL. They don't know ball. I don't know what they think, but people are trying to keep receipts on me talking about Kai Jones. I'm just like, yeah, good, keep him. I think that's going to fall in my favor. Lee Ivan said, what did you think of DJJ today? Kind of quiet out there. He only played 11 minutes. Didn't make a shot. All he took was threes. Had a couple of turnovers. Not a lot to go off of. Not worried about it. Big body of work. Just saw him play a ton in the playoffs. It's whatever. Not judging him or most of the starters and vets off of a preseason performance. That's why I'm not freaking out about Chris Dunn like somebody else in here. I've seen him a lot. I know who he is. Not a big deal. It's the young guys that you want to see take a step forward. You know, progress, show what they've been working on during the off season, give you a better idea where their ceiling is. That's what you get out of preseason a lot of the time. The offense still, they just have to be more sound with the basketball. They were extremely sloppy and careless there. But I expect a little bit more fine-tuning as we move along in the preseason with the vets and for that to be tightened up. Still going to be some high turnover games, don't get me wrong. I just expect better from the starting unit. And Carlo Jimenez brought this up earlier in this very show, he thinks with them getting back late from Hawaii that starters may not play much on Tuesday night, and he very well could be right about that. So we'll see. It could be a lot of backups in that game. We'll have it all for you right back here. Clippers Countdown was a success today on the Clippers talk side. Now I got to see if this can travel, if I can get this set up to work. I got to talk to Big Brother Jake Warner for a road game. I don't know if it will. We'll see. I appreciate all you guys, even people who I thought were out to lunch and ridiculous with some of their comments. It's all fun. It's all good. It's just fun talking Clippers basketball again. It's fun that the NBA season is close. It's fun that we get to see about so many of these unknowns and where this Clippers team could end up this season. It's just people have them 12th. Others have them 5th or 6th. We're going to find out a lot, I think, early in the season. Hoping for the best with Kawhi and his health. One more question here. Abhishek Roy says, don't want to trade Terrence Mann, Powell, and PJ for Ingram. Let me explain something again. Brandon Ingram is going to be a free agent after this year. You have to pay him, and he could just leave. I don't think he's restricted. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. But you're going to have to pay him $150 plus million. You better be damn sure he's your guy if you're going to pay him that money. Or if you're going to give up assets that you could lose for nothing. That is what I'm getting at. Here's a nice comment. Superfan donated $10. Deca Fantastic said, I predict that Coach Lou starts Kobe Brown once this preseason. Oh, yeah. I agree with you in the preseason. I think Kobe Brown will start a game. I agree. That's a great point. I would not be shocked by that at all. It could happen Tuesday night. Deca Fantastic. Appreciate you donating to the cause here as we're almost an hour and a half in post-game. That's not how it works. This is the problem, Roy. He says, who cares at that point? The Clippers will let him walk and sign new stars, Booker, Luka, Ant, etc. Ant is not eligible for, 2028. Like, all these guys could be extended. All these guys. To act like they're going to be available, Luka could easily extend his contract. You have no idea if they're even going to be available. Luka's in a good situation with a good franchise that just went to the NBA Finals. To say that, he'll be a free agent in 2026, they very well may have a new contract with him before that. Trust me. They're not trying to let him go, and he's on a team that just went to the NBA Finals. Losing all those assets for Brandon Ingram and being like, well, whatever. We just freed up cap space. No, you didn't. It doesn't work like that with the first and second apron. It's not that simple at all. I think the Clippers front office has done a really good job this offseason in making the best of a tough situation, losing Paul George. But losing assets for nothing and trading them for Brandon Ingram, if you don't know if you're going to sign him to that contract or if he's going to accept it, is a real decision to make, my friend. You think T-Man and Norman Powell aren't assets on this team? I hope you're around in the next couple of weeks, Abhishek Roy, when they are contributing to Clippers wins. I hope you're around. Because losing those guys for nothing would be catastrophic. That's the problem with trading for Brandon Ingram. Yes, you just want a third star, or just trade Kawhi first week of the season. I'm impatient as a Kawhi fan. You're impatient and unrealistic and unproductive with your comments. Like, you think teams are trading for Kawhi with his injury history right now? You think other teams don't know what's going on? I'm here to bring up stuff that can actually happen. That's the goal of this show. Not to make people dumber. I'm sorry, Roy, but it ain't 2K. It ain't fantasy basketball. Let's try to dip this show in reality, as my friend JC the Brick used to say all the time. We're going to end the show, I guess, on a sour note. I can't take anymore. I appreciate everybody in here. I appreciate Deca Fantastic for the donation. Always means a lot just to know that you guys are around to listen to me, to want to talk Clippers basketball. Even Abhishek Roy, I appreciate you. You're still here. We're still talking. I just want to make it as reasonable and productive as possible. I'm looking for real solutions. Philip White brings up risk it all for Kuzma. I don't hate that. Now Roy's coming around saying not Which stars would you suggest? You're right. The names I mentioned are not leaving. Which stars would I suggest? Who are all these disgruntled stars that are trying to get out of their situation the Clippers could easily trade for? The only guy, there's two guys. Brandon Ingram's possible, yes, but it's a big risk. Zach LaVine's possible also, but it's a big risk with his health, and then also the fact that he has an opt-in for about $50 million during the summer of 2026 when guys you mentioned, like Luka or SGA, could be available. That could stunt you from being able to go after them if you sign Zach LaVine, because if he can't stay healthy, he's likely going to opt into that final year, and then there goes your cap space for signing those other big free agents. So it's a little bit more complicated than some people would like to present it as. Let the front office work. Let Lawrence Frank cook. And Lawrence Frank, I trust. I don't give a damn what you all say. Y'all are unreasonable. It's not Lawrence Frank's fault. Kawhi did his ACL and has had all these injuries. Nobody could predict all that. Nobody predicted that SGA would turn into an MVP when he's 26 years of age. Nobody said that. We all said all-star. This is what I actually like. We'll end on this. Abhishek Roy says, actually, Tobias Harris would be a 4. Could move Kawhi to the 3 there. I brought that up before. I like Tobias. I don't care how Philly treated him and how he didn't live up to his contract there. Tough situation. I like Tobias. For the right price, I'd bring him back, put him at the 4. I love you all, including Roy. We'll be back, hopefully, with Clippers Talk to start things off Tuesday night at 6:30 with your pregame show. I'll have a show before then anyways here on Clippers Talk on YouTube before Tuesday night. I'm just saying for their next game, that would be Tuesday night in Oceanside, San Diego. They're taking on the Brooklyn Nets. Tip-off is at 7:30, pregame at 6:30. Between then and now, hit the subscribe button here at Clippers Talk on YouTube on this channel, because I will likely have, if not later tonight, another live tomorrow, or definitely one Monday. I ain't taking 2 days off before the next game and not doing a live or not doing a show. Trust me, I will have one up for you guys. So appreciate everybody in here. As they like to say, let's go Clippers.